The following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op, in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com.
Welcome to the Support Local Everything podcast, a podcast of the Upward Niagara Chamber of Commerce. I'm Chamber President Jennifer Pauly, and we are here today with our special guest, the marketing manager of the fashion outlets of Niagara Falls, USA, Sue Swiatkowski, and we just had a conversation saying she needs her own podcast. Sue, you definitely do. We were just chatting the past 5 minutes about award shows and movies and things like that. And Rich just said, you need a podcast. And I said, of course you do, Sue. Of course you do. But Sue is the marketing manager, like I said, of Fashion Outlets of Niagara Falls, USA. She is a Niagara Falls native. She's held various marketing, communications, and tourism positions throughout Western New York, including management positions at Niagara University, the Buffalo Museum of Science, the Hard Rock Cafe, Old Falls Street, USA, Destination Niagara, USA, and the Niagara Wine Trail. And I'm telling you, if you don't know Sue, then you haven't been around Niagara County at all. So we're so happy to have you here today, Sue. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I get around, so this is the first time on this podcast, so thank you for having me today.
We were just talking about headphones. Sue wants to wear headphones for the podcast.
I was a DJ in a former life, so I'm very used to wearing headphones, and I haven't worn them in a while, and I was looking very forward to putting them on today, but there's no headphones.
That's okay. Your podcast that you start about award show, you and Angela Birdie together. Rich and I already did the whole script. We figured out what your podcast is going to be. You can have your own headphones.
It's funny because yesterday the invitation went out to my best friends at the Oscar party. The 96th Annual Academy Awards is coming up on March 10th, so we usually don't wear our Sunday best. We get in our sweats and hang out and nosh on tacos and watch the Oscars and laugh at everybody else.
Oh, my gosh, I love it. I love it. Well, today we have you here because the Fashion Outlets of Niagara Falls just did a major give with the town of Niagara to multiple nonprofit organizations throughout Niagara County. So that is just an unbelievable feat because over the past partnership timeline of this, I think I had read there's more than $1 million that the fashion outlets have been given out to local charities.
So this predates me, obviously, and it even predates my company owning the mall. So it is an agreement between the mall and the mall ownership at whatever time and the town of Niagara to invest back into the community. So $50,000 is donated, and then there is a 3-person panel. Somebody from the mall, somebody from the town. So it's the general manager of the mall, right now Sylvia Virtuoso of the town, and one non-partial member of the panel to help recognize which applicants should receive the money during the given year. So
this is such an amazing thing that it was done, however long ago, to look into the future and say this is what needs to happen in the town and make this a priority in giving back. And it coincides with our podcast, Support Local Everything, because that's really what it's doing. It's supporting the local organizations that are doing the work in the community. So some of them, I believe there were more than 30 recipients, but some of them are major organizations that, that deal with things that need to be dealt with in the community. They have major impact on everything from, there's Carolyn's House, there's Community Missions of Niagara Frontier, Empower, Feathers of Love, Health Association of Niagara County, in Tandem, the list goes on. And you were able to gather all of these organizations in one night and hand out all of those awards. Tell us a little bit about that. I think that happened last week.
It did. It happened last Tuesday, just before Valentine's Day. So we had about 50 people in attendance. And it, like you just said, we really sort of spread the money around to larger organizations like In Tandem and Empower and Boys and Girls Club of Niagara Falls, to smaller like Feathers of Love that's here based in the town of Niagara. And it's really important to know that although it is an agreement between the mall and the town of Niagara, because that's where we have our mall, is in the town of Niagara, that there are a lot of Niagara County organizations that, aren't necessarily based, or their address isn't right in the town, but they do service the town and the rest of the county. So it is really nice to know that the money is getting to the far reaches of the county as well. And we were really happy to do that. No, I don't believe any organization got more than $4,000. And it doesn't sound like a lot of money when you break it all up, but it does allow them to do some smaller programming or to provide, something that they always wanted to provide that year. Sometimes, and I spoke to our general manager, did you need a washer dryer that year? Or did you need to buy some small appliance that you really just didn't have in your budget? Sometimes it allows you to provide meals at an event that didn't necessarily have that type of thing before. So even though it isn't something that is going to make a major difference in some of the larger organizations, it does make a major difference for some of the smaller organizations, and it allows the larger organizations to provide things that they might not have been able to do in years past. Yeah.
No amount is too small.
I know somebody gave me $1,000, I would find something to do with it.
Exactly. Yes. And I think it's nice to have all of those organizations represented. They can see each other, they can network with each other, find out what each other needs, and the public is able to see that you are doing something amazing, that the Fashion Outlets, along with Town of Niagara, is doing something amazing to put something back into the community on that special day. And having a panelist to look through and see kind of helps to get other people involved. How do you pick who gets to look through these?
I think they realize, and I mean, I know that my organization, and I'm sure the other, the other two that are on the panel kind of read the paper and see who they think are doing really good in the community and who they think might need a little bit more help this year. Some people may have dropped off only because they saw that they got a huge grant this year, and maybe this isn't the year necessarily that they need that extra push or bump. But there are some other applicants, new applicants that came on board and made a really good, however they apply and what they say they're going to use it for. They might have read it and said, you know what, we never even knew about this in the community, and look at how many people it affects, and we want to turn some, make some things better in other people's lives as well. So it doesn't mean that if an organization didn't get the money this year that they would never get it again.
Right.
But it could mean that they didn't apply this year too.
Right.
Maybe they didn't need to, and they decided to share the wealth or allow other applicants to get that money this year. So.
Well, we appreciate everything that Fashion Outlets of Niagara Falls, USA has done to give back to the community. It's noted and noticeable and such a great way to give back. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that are happening at the mall. I know there's a few places that have opened. We've been able to celebrate some ribbon cuttings lately with some
I've got
things
more on
coming
the way.
up.
So
okay, we'll
yeah.
mark it on the calendar. Tell us about what's new at the mall.
So the funny thing is you just said the whole plethora of places that I've worked before, and I've never really worked for a real estate company before. So when you see places go and you see you're like, oh, darn, there's always really a reason behind it. It's at their corporate level. And, people are still complaining that there isn't a Disney store there. Well, there aren't Disney stores anywhere.
Right.
It was sad to see it leave, but it left because there's no Disney stores anywhere other than, I think they tried to incorporate them into Targets or something like that. So, you have to move on. And so now that I'm part of this, I realize that even though it seems sad that places leave, new places come
right back.
So
they come in.
So the next two places that are set to open are we're getting a Pandora store, which is right inside entrance 5, and they are working very diligently, and I believe going to open by mid-March. So we're really excited to have them on board. I could already see my paycheck going to Pandora.
Right towards, I get it. Mine too.
And the Cinnabon store, which had a bit of a delay because of some construction delays that they've had. But they are supposed to be opening hopefully by the end of this week. So so those are two new places that we'll have in the mall. And then it has been announced, and we are planning for a new Sonic restaurant to be the third parcel that is in front of the mall. So what we are planning on is that third parcel is going to be demolished, and they'll start from scratch and build new. So if anybody's ever been to a Sonic before, you know that they have those drive-in areas, and so they just need to accommodate that. So that's why they couldn't use what was already existing.
I think Rich is excited about
Sonic.
That. Did you see that?
I see that, and it'll be the first Sonic in Niagara County too. So
yes.
we're really excited about that. So if people are fans, as Rich is, it'll be a lot closer to come and get your shakes and burgers and fries.
Yes.
So yeah.
That is great. There is also a nice mix. You mentioned Pandora coming in March. There's a nice mix of these national chains that we know of, but there's also some small local business
Right.
owners, small business is what we call
Right.
at the fashion outlets. Can you tell us about how that mix happens?
It does. We work, we have two different parts of our leasing team. So we have a specialty leasing manager who's here, boots on the ground in Niagara Falls. And she works to get the locals on board. She goes out and she does a lot of canvassing of local malls. She's always online to see what types of people might be ready to make that leap. Maybe they started as a vendor in a smaller shop, or they have some inquiries, and so she sticks with them and tries to get them to come maybe as a cart or a pop-up shop around the holidays, and then tries to get them to open a larger store, inline store is what we call them. And then on our corporate side, we have people that are bringing the larger stores like the Pandoras and that. And so they're working with franchisees and the corporate offices for larger stores to try to bring them in, and restaurants as well.
What a great mix. The fashion outlets of Niagara Falls, USA, also, being a great community partner with all of the gives that you just did last week. There are events that happen year round. I know that I've participated in several.
We couldn't do it without you, Jennifer.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, there's always something that's happening to give back to the local community. Always, whether it's trick or treating or something that our Peach Queens are involved in. Is I help out with the Niagara County Peach Queen program. Is giving away the backpacks, and it's such a great experience for people to get involved in, and the mall is the perfect location for things like that. Tell us about some of those extra programming that are done throughout the year.
It's nice. So our company is very philanthropic in nature, and they recognize that they take up a lot of space, and so they want people to know that they aren't just there to make money and have people shop. They are really there to try to recognize the communities that they're in and what could we do to give back. So, we are now this year moving, and I will have our meeting this week to find out a little bit more about this. Our e-recycling is happening. We usually do it in September. I know traditionally we always did it in September, but I said, why aren't we doing it as more of an Earth Day project? So this year we're moving it into April. It's set for April 20th. It's a Saturday. Where this is absolutely free of charge as well, that you could bring any of your electronic recycling. I think the only thing they don't take is refrigerators, but other than that.
Well, I guess that'd be kind of hard to wheel in your
refrigerator. Yeah, but they ask you to just, open your trunk, and they have a full team on board. We partner with a company called Sun King. They're out of Syracuse. And this year, we are keeping our fingers crossed that we're also going to partner with the Goodwill. So not only electronic recycling, but it'll be other recycling, and it'll be a great way for spring cleaning to happen.
Definitely.
And be part of our Earth Day programming at the mall as well. And, there's some other things that we do inside the mall to remind people to be more green, take on some more green initiatives in their lives, like carrying your own shopping bag and those types of things. And I think we're a little more used to it in New York State than other states are. But those are two of the things that we're doing in the more recent, future. We're changing things around. But the backpacks, it was really nice to see that some of the partners that we work with for the backpack giveaway in the summer for the back to school drive were recipients of the Give Fashionably grants as well.
I saw that.
So it was nice to see that the Boys and Girls Club, it was nice to see that Salvation Army, everybody was involved in the backpack giveaway, and we can't do it without them either. And we can't do it without you and the Peach Festival contestants. It's just wonderful to bring the whole community together. And what do we have but space? So, we could get the word out, and we have a lot of space, but a lot of that stuff is happening behind the scenes and with our partners, and then it all kind of convenes at the mall, and we take a lot of credit for it, but we couldn't do it without our community partners, and to be able to give back to them that way. Another organization that we gave back to through Give Fashionably was the Niagara Falls Christmas toy, the Firefighters Christmas Toy Fund, which was our partner for Christmas this year in our Christmas event. So it's really nice to see that in addition, we're not just giving just one time a year, we're giving a few times a year, and hopefully that, that money will spread and help them with programming at different seasons as well.
What a true partner for the community. This is important. I don't think people realize the depth of the giving that is happening here at the mall. They think, oh, the mall's just here. It's been here for forever, decades, and it's there. And sometimes people don't realize there's more to it than that. There's giving back. There's a little bit of, of community there happening. And that's not something that's usually associated with a mall as far as all the philanthropic things that are happening and the mall serving as a hub for some of those activities as well.
And we hope to do more of that in the future. I mean, this is really, I haven't even started, I'm in my second year. So as of May, I'll be in my third year here. So, as there are more organizations, we're working with the Girl Scouts for March, actually, to sell their Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, goodness.
I know. And the
I'm
the funny thing
here's
is,
my money.
is I said, aren't they all over the place? Like, why in the mall? Like, I don't understand. Like, aren't they, outside of Tops and Wegmans and that kind of stuff? But the funny thing is that it really does help us in turn as well, which I didn't recognize. And this might be a shock to people because it was to me. Canadians do not get as many Girl Scout cookie flavors as Americans do. Well, I mean, they're over here to buy our cereal and our chips and our sodas.
Now
Girl Scout cookies. I think the Canadians only get 4 or 5 different flavors, and we get 8 or 10.
Yeah.
So it's a nice way to attract our Canadian guests to the mall as well. So
Good marketing hook.
It is a good marketing hook. I just figured, you could go buy cookies anywhere, but the Canadians don't necessarily get as many. Even if their kids are Girl Scouts, they don't get as many flavors. So I think that's why.
The more you know.
We continue this, and I said, bring them on. So, there's a little bit of paperwork that needs to be done, obviously, when people are selling even packaged food. But we get that done behind the scenes, and so they have a set time that they're allowed to sell their cookies.
Oh.
And
Now I know in March it's just going to be take all of my money. Here you go.
I know.
My husband brought home the coconut. I think they're coconut samosas. I think that's what they're called. And the package was not opened for about 2 days. Once they're open, they're
Forget
gone.
it. They're like potato chips.
They are. They're gone.
Once you eat one, they're gone.
That is going to be something on my calendar for March. So can we find out some of these events that are happening online? What is the best way to find out
So you
what's
can
going
follow us on Facebook at Fashion Niagara. You can follow us on Instagram, same place at Fashion Niagara. Or you could just go to our website, fashionoutletsniagara.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much for all of that information. Now we get to talk about fun stuff. We kind of lead in with all the important things, but Sue, I've known you for a while now. You and Rich go way back. Sue is just the bubbly personality in person, on air. She needs her own show. That's what we're going to tell you. You need your own show. But you have been able to be a part of many different organizations throughout the Niagara County, throughout Western New York. And, one thing that is true about Sue, she loves her Buffalo Bills.
I do.
She loves them.
I hate when they break my heart, but I love my Buffalo Bills.
You do. So tell us about this past season and what you can expect about next year.
So it's funny because we got new people on our team nationally, joined the East Coast team for marketing, and we all had to tell a little something about ourselves. And so the one person was a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Goodness.
And she made it sound like she was the biggest fan in the world. So I just very subtly said, I've been a season ticket holder for 21 years, and I can count on one hand how many games I've missed in those 21 years. So this year, yes, I went to every playoff game at home and 2 away games, one in New York City and one in London, which we both lost. But
I would expect nothing less of you, Sue.
Yeah.
Nothing less.
The funny thing about London is, and even my general manager says, I kind of live a little bit of a Forrest Gump life, is while we were in London, I happened to get onto the Jumbotron at Tottenham Stadium. I sit in the 4th row on One Bills Drive, have never made the Jumbotron. But
you go to
across
London.
the pond, they must have loved the way I was singing our national anthem.
They did.
Yeah. So that's how I...
So you definitely proved that other person wrong. You are the biggest fan.
The biggest fan. She kind of swallowed
I'm sure
very deeply after she heard that. So,
she had no leg to stand on for that one. So yes, you are the biggest fan. What is going to happen for next year? What do you see going on for the next season? Not next year, next season.
You know what? I don't know. I'm kind of a realist in that I hope that the best days aren't behind us with this team. But you always know that when, the draft comes along and some people leave and whatever, you have to try to build up again. So I don't really get too excited until the end of July when they go back into camp and we find out, what they're worth and who's leaving, who's back, who's gelling and all of that. So I'll make that decision, I think, in late July when they start practicing again. But I feel more as bad as we feel that they, lost that game and didn't progress on. I feel even worse for them. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's like as bad as we feel as fans. Can you imagine being them? And poor Joshy. Poor Joshy. When he went out and golfed, I said, "Good for you, honey. You need to do that."
So my husband's been a season ticket holder with his father for decades. Mm-hmm. It's just been part of. I've known.
That's who we
are. Yes, exactly. I've been married to my husband for almost 21 years. And he's had them for that long, besides, however long.
When he was a child. Right.
The funny thing is, the Buffalo Bills, I can say this now because the new stadium is being built and he's not going to have these seats forever. There is an extra seat in his row right where my husband and my father-in-law sit. And it has never been found. So my husband always has an extra seat next to him.
Oh, that's funny.
So, people come and they have their ticket. It's like,
no one ever tries to sit there?
No, because it's the computing system does not have that seat in the ticketing system. So nobody will ever sit there. It's been that way for decades.
That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. So somebody's not doing their job by walking through those
I know.
Those rows. So
the lost chair, the lost fan.
So a lot of times my husband will buy an extra ticket, just a random extra ticket, and my daughter will go and sit with them.
Wherever.
And, it works.
As I get older, the colder it gets, I sometimes think, do I need to sit in that box? And then, sitting so close to them and being in the fourth row and touchdowns happening right in front of you and where would you rather be happening right in front of you? And I say, for the few games that it's cold, I could rough it.
You could do it.
I could rough it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My husband's way up at the top.
Yeah.
Way up in the top.
So we'll see what happens when the new stadium is built.
Yeah.
So they just put out a diagram of what it'll look like and how much closer to the field everybody's going to be sitting. I think it's at least 10 feet closer or something like that. Yeah.
I just saw something that had said that gave that report. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. Was it Channel 2? It was something I read, I believe, online that said you were going to be so much closer.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what's available to us. We'll see what the seat licensing are going to be. I know. I keep putting money aside. I know how people put money aside for a vacation. I put money aside for a Super Bowl ticket.
Of course you do.
So, yeah. So everybody said, you would spend that much for a Super Bowl ticket? And I said, it's not like we're going every year.
That is correct. And if you put a little bit aside, that envelope will get bigger and
some people put aside for cars. Some people put aside for additions to their home. I put aside for a Super Bowl ticket. So,
of course. Yeah. It's going to happen.
One of these days.
In our lifetime, it will happen.
I hope while I'm still able to travel.
So one thing you had just mentioned, but as we had talked about, is you used to be a DJ?
Yeah.
Of course you did.
I used to be a DJ. That's what I thought. That's how old I am. That when I went to college, that was still a really cool job. And so and well before the Sirius XMs of the world and people, streaming their music in so many different ways. So I started off back in the day. I credit this. So many people in Western New York that are working somehow in broadcasting got their shot and started at WJJL Radio in Niagara Falls. So it's really funny to say that, but there are some people that are doing really well for themselves and that you see all the time. Chris Brown with the Buffalo Bills right now started at WJJL, and we were there at the same time. So it's really funny to say that. That's where I started, but then I moved on to Oldies 104, which is not Oldies 104 anymore.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's Classic Hits, I believe, 104. So things have changed a lot, but I will say that it always prepared me to, one, speak in front of people and be very comfortable doing that. Today, like I said, even though my hair didn't go right, it is what it is.
You're fine.
It is what it is. But also always to stay one step ahead. Because if something went wrong, because back then you were actually loading the CDs and things into into the machines to make them play. And if something went wrong, you had to have a plan B. So I think that always helped me prepare in life for having a plan B, just in case your plan A doesn't go off as planned. So,
yes, I love that. Well, you could always go back to that type of
like podcasting,
realm,
perhaps,
like having your own podcast show. I mean, I don't know what
it
I'm
all
doing here,
comes
but
full circle.
You certainly do, and yes, it does come for full circle. And with the award season, I see some great things here in your future.
I only say what people are thinking about the award shows. I have the
that's the honest truth of what people. It's in their minds. Somebody
the good
needs
and the
to
bad
say
of it. Yeah, the good and the bad of it. Some of those outfits are pretty crazy,
Some of
and
them
some
are.
of those winners shouldn't have deserved the award. But I'm only saying what other people are thinking.
Yes, Rich, we got to figure something out here because this is gonna be great. It's so funny because sometimes when you watch those. You're just missing that honest feedback, that honest with your girlfriend sitting on the couch with the popcorn feedback. And
it's frivolous, and a lot of people say, how could you even watch those things? Well, you know what? Life is tough enough. A lot of sleepless nights taking care of my mom, and a lot of things that don't go right. The Bills don't make it to the Super Bowl.
You
got to have something to look forward to and just have fun. So that's really
it.
what that all means to me, and a good reason to invite my friends over and have a good time too. So
yeah. How fun. Well, thank you, Sue, for coming on our podcast. I don't know what we're doing on this podcast, but you make it fun, and we're always so happy to have our members showcased on this podcast, and really great things to showcase what supporting local everything is. And
it's funny that's the first thing you said. So it was a perfect way to get on, perfect tie-in for sure.
Yes, we're so happy to have you involved, and I can't wait for all of the calendar events of things to come out for the year on how Fashion Outlets of Niagara Falls is helping to get the community more involved. And if you need to find out more, please go to fashionoutletsniagara.com. Find out more about what's coming up. Find out more about the new stores that are coming in. I can't wait for Cinnabon, actually. That's going to be
I know.
great.
I could feel my waist already.
Alrighty. That's okay.
Well, that's okay. I know a place that I can buy new clothes.
There you go. And a new bracelet.
And a new bracelet.
A little bit of everything. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for coming along and listening to all the great things that are happening in Niagara County. Thanks for listening and tuning in on Support Local Everything. We'll see you next time.